AMC's The Walking Dead
is presented by
Doritos.
yes,
Just what? Because why not?
okay.
What's not sponsored by Doritos? So
That's
this
true.
episode of Season 9, Episode 2, The Bridge. Quite a boring title, if I do say so myself.
It's symbolic, Stephen. The bridge is metaphoric and literal.
They're
in
building
the
a
episode.
bridge.
Yeah. In both senses of the word.
Apparently, they know how to build a bridge.
Well, because of that big fat book that the lady who loves vinyl records, shout out to Vinyl
Big
Records,
fat book
gave
lady.
them. Yeah.
You calling that lady fat?
No,
Man.
she get the big fat book.
Lady.
The big fat lady. Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. So, glad we see eye to eye here. But moving on. This episode covers the Saviors working together with the other groups from Hilltop and assorted people trying to get this bridge fixed. And they have kind of this system in place to, I guess, like a warning system. They have people on watch. They're using solar-powered walkie-talkies to talk to each other, which I think is genius. I don't know. I guess they found some solar panels, and I mean, Eugene is like some kind of genius that can rig anything together, so I guess that's feasible.
Yeah. Video games, man, they teach you how to do all that kind of stuff.
That's true. And they are warning, hey, we've got a herd there, herd here, They actually have a cool system in place where they set off explosions and loud sounds to distract the horde. I think the first thing you see is it Jerry who does like this?
Yeah,
thing
he
where
cranks the box.
He cranks this thing. But what did it sound like? It had like
It had
this,
a weird sound, yeah.
Yeah, it almost sounded like a person just going.
Yeah.
It was like the most human-like siren I've ever heard.
Yeah,
but
it was interesting.
I believe, I don't know if this was actually happening, but just because of the way that shows are edited, it made me really feel like the sound was coming out of that thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was cool. So yeah, they had a cool way of diverting herds away from the workers. We also see a scene where Michonne goes to Hilltop to try and convince Maggie to go ahead and send more supplies. This is after Rick has tried to convince her. She turns Michonne down. Apparently a month has gone by where she's had the father of Ken.
Oh gosh, what's his name? I don't remember.
I don't know either. But she's had him in prison. The wife is throwing a fit because she hasn't seen him since he's been
Rightfully
in prison
so.
and just wants to see him. And I don't think they were keeping her away from seeing him. I just think it was one of those they just weren't paying attention to like how long it had been since she saw him. Like,
But you have to think
busy.
that she's come and asked him a lot. You know?
Yeah, but then they'd have to have they had to have someone,
Yeah.
I guess chaperone to make sure she didn't try to bring him out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's one person taking them away from work. And Michonne did kind of... So Michonne's thing is she comes in and she says, hey, they need supplies. They're working on this bridge. Can you send food? I believe is what she's asking for. And Maggie's like, well, we've only got enough reserves for ourselves.
Right. Tractor doesn't work.
The tractor doesn't work.
Blacksmith.
The tractor doesn't work because the blacksmith happens to be the guy who tried to kill her under Gregory's influence in the previous episode.
Well, yeah, and they need him to build another plow, like the one they brought from the museum.
Right. So they need something. They need him, but at the same time, it's like she has him locked up. And I couldn't help but think, still during that conversation, like I was watching it with my wife, and I just said to her, I'm like, why can't he just work on stuff under guard, under watch? And apparently that's exactly what they do later.
Well, maybe
on
because
in
it's like
the
you
show.
said, like people are busy; they can't just babysit him.
Yeah, but if you need you need something to give you food, I would think that would be priority.
Which, like you said, is what they end up going with.
Yeah, they
because
ended up doing that anyway.
Over the course of the episode, Maggie has kind of a change of heart, which I thought was done really well. Just the whole thing, the story about how the guy who was locked up, like used to drink and stuff, and how.
Because she does eventually let his wife see him.
Yeah, and I thought they did a really good job of just making you feel for the couple, because In the last episode, I did not like them at all. Like, I thought the lady was super annoying. Like, they were blaming Maggie for it.
She still hasn't won a whole lot of points with me.
She still is kind of annoying, yeah.
But the guy has
the emotions and their relationship is there, and it's felt pretty. It's conveyed pretty well. I feel like,
yeah.
Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I don't even remember which one of the scenes between them. I was almost like tearing up. I was like, this is like, I don't know.
It was written really well.
And then when they like come together, and I don't know, it was really like happy. So I don't know. I thought that was done really well, where Maggie kind of has like a change of heart. That was one of the things that happened in the episode.
Because he shares how he started. He had been sober for so long. He shared the story with Maggie because Maggie heard that he was drinking, and she asked him about his drinking history. And I think he said that he used to just get drunk all the time. He was so drunk he didn't even remember his son's birth.
Yeah.
And I forget something about the boy was like, he was so drunk he didn't realize, like, something about the boy being in the car.
Well, he said that the kid was being babysat, and he went to pick him up, and he was drunk, and the nanny or whatever babysitter wouldn't let him take the kid, but he did it anyways, and he was driving with the kid, and then apparently he called her, and she came and picked him up, and I thought that was a really cool message too. That she said they're sticking together, and they like made this decision no matter what, and that he was sick. I thought that was all like really well.
Yeah,
and then
he
Maggie,
said that was the last day he had drunk. And until
his son died,
passed away, and then he fell off the wagon.
Right, and it's interesting how they kind of bring that all together, like with Maggie relating to that, because, and it was a callback. Like, I forgot about it. Herschel, there was a whole thing a long time ago about how he used to drink, and it was really neat. Like, what she said to Michonne, she was like, if he hadn't gotten a second chance, a lot of people would be way worse off right now.
Right,
literally everyone. Like, Michonne wouldn't be there, Maggie wouldn't be there, Rick wouldn't be there, because they wouldn't have had a place to stay in season 2. Like,
he's no Gregory. Like, Gregory had so many chances.
Oh, yeah, right. Like, and that's what she said. She was like, Gregory. Yeah,
she even compared him directly to
She keeps kind of
Gregory.
feeling this guilt about that, and every time I'm just like, no, you literally, you should have, like, that was good.
Yeah, you gave him every chance.
He was such a worm.
Like, he should have been banished, like, a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I do think that was done well when they brought it all together with Herschel. Then kind of the big thing that happens in the show is they don't get a particular horde diverted in time.
Someone fails their one job.
Someone doesn't make a siren or explosion or something to divert a herd. And it's the herd goes to the lumber yard where you have you've got Daryl, you've got Aaron, you've got a couple of saviors, couple of Alexandrians, it looks like. And what happens is the herd starts coming, Daryl starts fighting them. Some people panic. I think it was actually a savior who panics, and Aaron and one other person are trying to like get a log down.
Yeah, and
from
the guy
a
lets
stack
go
of
of
log.
it, and then it falls on top of him.
Well, the guy lets go. The other guy's about to get hit by it. Aaron pushes him out of the way.
Yeah.
And his arm gets crushed underneath the log.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And at first I thought, and it got pretty desperate because like they're all trying to like get the log up to get him out of there because walkers, hello.
Yeah. And
Daryl takes out his double knives and starts carving them up, and like I really am digging his new cool melee style of fighting. I really like that. And they do eventually get Aaron out of there, and his arm is just all kinds of jacked up.
Enid, the new doctor.
Yes, and they actually did a really good job of foreshadowing the fact that Enid was going to have to do a big medical procedure on her
ready
own.
To take on anything. That's what he said.
Right, because so I still don't know the guy's name. I just know he's the Muslim character.
Yeah,
Sorry, but that's like he's the doctor, okay? The Muslim doctor. So he's needed back in Alexandria. That's where Rick sends him, and Enid is basically just going to have to, even though it seems like she's been training under him for just a small amount of time, she's going to be the one taking care of them. I would have switched it around. I would have sent her back to Alexandria to help people there, because you would think that people actively working out in the open would need the better doctor.
That's true, but do we know what's going on in Alexandria? I don't know. Like, do we know what it is?
He just said people were sick.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I'm sorry, like, if sick people, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on. No, I don't play one on TV. But I would think that illness would be a bit easier to treat than traumatic injuries.
Yeah.
Which is what people are going to be running into with this kind of work. So Daryl gets Aaron to Enid, and they have to amputate most of his arm.
Yeah, so he loses his arm.
And they find out that the person who didn't call the herd away was
that one savior guy.
That one savior. Oh, and they did foreshadowing with that really well too, because the little guy from the kingdom, who's
Ezekiel's kind of kid,
adopted.
It's basically
son.
Him and Carol's adopted kid. At this point.
Yeah, which I think that's pretty cool.
He's
that
got a deep voice all of a sudden.
Yeah,
he talked, and I was like, cut it. And thank goodness he only had like 2 lines, and I was like,
he hit puberty.
I know, I don't like it.
He's still a bit of a brat, though.
Well, I don't know. I thought it was kind of. I was like, dang.
Right. Well, so he gives the one. By the way, this one savior was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He played a Russian guy, and he was like a villain. Played him really well too, and I just thought he was naturally Russian, but apparently he's not. He's just a really good actor. He's playing the savior, and this kid's job is to make sure that everyone gets a drink of water while they're working on the bridge, and he wants to hog all the water. Yeah. Kid knocks him on the floor with it is Morgan's
staff. Yeah,
staff.
Well, also, where's Morgan?
He left, remember?
Okay, I meant to bring this up last time because I completely forgot. He just left.
Yeah, he just up and leaves.
Man, I wonder when he's gonna come back.
Who knows?
But but first the guy pushes him. He pushes him because he's like trying to get the water, and then and then the kid just comes back. He's not having any of it. He's like, bye.
And he goes after him, and that's when Daryl stops him. They get into a fight. Rick comes and breaks it up. So you kind of feel like, okay, well, this guy's got a chip on his shoulder, against non-savior people.
Yeah.
And it turns out he was the one that didn't call the herd away, and he was blaming it on his radio. He's like, yeah, my walkie was dead, and Daryl's like, they're solar up, they're solar charged, like basically saying like there's no way it could have been dead, and like just starts beating the crap out of him. And of course Rick has to come and break it up again,
right?
And that kind of drives the wedge between Rick and Daryl even further. But Rick has had it with this guy, and what's the line that you like?
Daryl, he punches the guy a lot, and he gets stitches for it and stuff. And then later, like, Rick comes up to him, and he... Well, what was it that he even said to Rick?
He
said something to Rick. He was
Rick goes in and talks to Aaron.
He said, you gotta put a leash on your dog.
That's right.
Yeah, he's like
talking to Rick about Daryl.
Yeah, and he's like, "What did you say to me?" And he's like, "Your dog needs a leash, blah blah." And then he just like gets right up in his face.
Yeah, and the guy tries. At first, he's like, "I don't have to hear this." He's just like, "Oh, you are."
Yeah, you're gonna stand here and you're gonna listen.
Word.
I was like, "This is so good," because like I said, like you worry that Rick's getting like too soft. He's all like peace and like kumbaya. We have to work together and stuff.
No, he's not.
But now he's like, yeah. He says if you basically do step out of line again or do whatever, he says your stitches won't be able to fix what I do to you. And I was just like, dang, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the guy like walks away and just takes the
Aaron is handling losing an arm really well. Like basically, Rick comes in and apologizes for it, and Aaron's answer to him is just like, it was worth it.
Talk about a guy who is good at seeing the big picture.
Right.
I mean, yeah, kudos to him, because that's some strong character.
Although, to me, like, now that characters who lose limbs don't typically live much longer.
Well, because you got to deal with a whole arm being gone.
Yeah, special effects. So
that was my concern. Yeah, when they amputated him, I was like, no, does this mean he's going to die soon? I like him.
Right. That just seems to happen. So we get a scene with where Rick is talking to Negan.
Yeah, that's like the last. There's beginning and the end. It's kind of whole.
Yeah.
It's done well. Like he starts
like-
telling him the story.
Yeah,
of
it's
the
like the very
episode, and
beginning of the episode starts with Rick talking to someone in a prison cell.
is
but
that?
Who could it possibly be?
I think
and-
we're supposed to know, but we just want to see him, and it doesn't show him. And so
Yeah, it just teases him. But I do love the last line that Negan says to
it was
him.
creepy, dude. I was not expecting him to say stuff
Yeah,
like that. I was
and-
like, that's
and-
bold talk for a guy who's behind a cell.
And they did tease it in the commercials too. Like, I think the line he says to Rick is like, "Oh, Rick, you're not saving the world, or you're not building a future for the world." He's just like, "You're just getting it ready for me."
That blew me away. I was not expecting, because as far as I know in the comics, he's still like imprisoned. Nothing happens with that. But
Who knows?
I hope it's not just empty talk. I hope like something like that happens eventually. I don't know. I mean, because if it's
Rick-
just empty talk, that's kind of disappointing.
I do think he starts asking Rick like why he's doing it all, and at one point he's like, "Is it for Carl?" And like Rick's like, "You don't.
You can't
speak
say that
his
name. Yeah. But yeah, that was a really cool line. He's just like, "You're just getting it ready for me." I was like, "Dang."
The writing is really on point.
Yeah.
For the most part this season. That's what's really surprised me about it. So that basically covers all the major stuff that happens in this episode. Man, I can't believe that happened to Aaron. Like, Aaron's been a mainstay for a long time. Some people have said like, oh, well, is Aaron kind of like the new Rick because Rick loses a hand in The Walking Dead? I think he loses it to the governor.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's right.
And we've like, who knows? Maybe by the end of the season, he's gonna have one hand, like, and we'll finally have a one-handed Rick. But I would have to give this one 19 jack-o'-lantern noses.
Okay, yeah. I'll give it like maybe 23 candy corn. Yeah. Yeah, I would say it was about as good as the last one. I mean, they're solid. They're good so far. I mean, it's a lot of setup, but at the same time, it's all still really interesting.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of setup, but the action scenes that happen are good.
Yeah,
and tense and a lot very very
right.
tense.
And you can just feel the tension building up to like in the process with like the saviors. Some of them are like leaving the site and kind of like between them.
Oh, how could we forget? The very last thing you see is that one guy who left.
He sees somebody who's familiar, I guess.
It's shot from the first person perspective of the person he's talking to, and like
which
they
reminded
walk
me
out
of like
to him.
season 3 where you see the person from 4 I think where the governor's watching the prison.
Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of. And you don't know it's him, but and he seems familiar with the guy. He's like he says
just
something.
Like, oh man, you scared me! Like it kind of a line like that,
bam,
and then just
I guess they hit him.
Yeah, and they did mention that there was like a group of saviors. That's right. That's what Michonne went to talk to Maggie in the first place. She just said like, "Hey, this group of saviors that was bringing stuff to you, we've lost track of them. We don't know."
Yeah, they haven't come back anywhere. They didn't go back to the sanctuary.
And they mentioned like these are people with families there, so like they wouldn't just walk off the reservation.
Or would they?
No, I think they're getting killed by this person or something.
Yeah, maybe it's.
Who do you think it is?
Daryl. Well, but the thing is, if it's Daryl, why would he look at Daryl like that? Why would he seem like he's like he seems at ease with the person he sees? You know what I mean? Like he doesn't if it were Daryl, you think he'd be like right away, like
he'd be on guard.
Yeah, I
can
don't know,
see.
but
can see
other
that.
than that, it kind of makes sense.
Oh,
like these people are running off. Daryl's like, ooh, I can one off these saviors.
And we have a little scene with Anne and
Gabriel.
Yeah,
I like that. I think that's an interesting relationship.
I did like the line of him saying, she was basically saying like, "Oh, well, basically you're a priest. You're not supposed to have
like,
like
I'm
a
not
relationship."
Catholic.
He goes, "I'm."
I don't even remember the word he said. I've never heard of it.
E. I've heard of it.
Yeah, I hadn't.
It begins
I was like,
with
what? I don't know.
I'm gonna think of it later.
But the most important thing with that was Anne. She was up keeping watch and she saw the helicopter. And it was foreshadowed. Remember, she said you're gonna start.
Night.
She said you're gonna start asking me about my secrets.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's
like
going on with that?
She says you can't ask me about my secrets. Yeah.
Was this some like weird project? Like I don't know, man. It could be like anything really weird.
I just hope that they go somewhere with it.
I'm sure in the theme song you see the helicopter. I'm sure. Like I don't think they would put that in there.
Yeah, it needs to be.
Be
it needs to be handled this season, but overall, great episode.
Yeah.